It's Jennifer Jones, and I'm here today with the incredible Courtney Carroll. Now, who is Courtney Carroll? Courtney Carroll came to us, it's almost 7 years ago, I want to say, and
Yep.
she has been the inside sales managing partner for the Jennifer Jones team. We are one of the top teams on the Toronto Real Estate Board in the top 10. And, Courtney's just responsible for ultimately turning our team into a deal machine. So the difference is that Courtney has been able to do this without showing one single house. So she does not show houses. She does not go out to listing appointments. Instead, what do you do, Courtney? Take it away.
Okay, great intro. Yeah, so I'm Courtney Carroll, and I specifically just do prospecting, calling around, just listed, just sold, and online leads, which we'll go into, and then book agents, and then just do a referral. So it's an entirely referral-based business. So I'm going to talk about that, and then more specifically and passionately about making prospecting possible like anywhere you go. So you're not just stuck sitting at your desks and just making the most of it. So a little bit more about me. Jen just did my intro, which is amazing. So I have been a licensed agent. It'll be 14 years in December. 7 years I've been doing exclusively the inside sales. Since then, we've converted over $350 million of real estate through online leads and strangers, our favorite people, bringing in closer to $7 million of commissions to the team. So I got into this. So I'm married, I have two girls, and it was after my second daughter was born, tried the first year of juggling real estate, and I found it was just those weekends, those evenings, it wasn't working for our family. That was a lot of the time that my husband was spending working as well. And so reached out to Jen and said, what if I just booked you appointments, and if you sell them, then give me a referral, and if not, no loss. So this isn't what I'm going to cover is for everyone, for agents. It is all the same as far as the prospecting and the things you can be doing. I'll dabble a little at the end, but if while we're going through all this, it sounds like something you would want to do on a more full-time basis, reach out to me. I'm happy to set you guys up. It doesn't have to be moms. I always say it just kind of works great for moms. For me, it's put the kids on the school bus, pick them up afterwards, and then able to box in and schedule those times when I'm working and working super hard during those times to allow you a little bit more free times on evenings and weekends. Also, super passionate about getting outside, fresh air, and exercise. And all of this is just tying in to where we're going to go about prospecting anywhere. If you do have any questions along the way, there should be a chat box or a Q&A box, so you can enter them, and we'll also open up to the end or follow afterwards on Instagram and shoot me over a DM. Happy to help however I can get everybody up and rolling. Okay, so this actually blew my mind, which is funny because this is what I do. So telephone prospecting was actually the second most effective way to generate leads after your center of influence. So obviously, referrals, friends, family, all that should, in a normal situation, represent 50% of your business. If you're not very social, like me, that might not be the case, and relying on strangers is going to be even more important. And even if you are and you have a really great successful business, what's amazing about prospecting is it's scalable and limitless. It's really just how much time and effort you're willing to put into it is how big you can grow your business. So yes, second most effective way for generating leads comes from telephone prospecting. Okay, so who to call? When I started initially, this is the just listed, just sold. It could be your listing, your teams, your brokerage, or really the real estate board that you're on. Most brokerages will partner with telelisting services, should be free or very low fee to get involved with that. The list gets scrubbed for the do not contact, so you can just call everyone. There's a map feature for circle prospecting. or just pick streets, list neighborhoods that you're familiar with, and then call around them. Again, that's how I got started. It's how I found leads before I moved exclusively into inside sales as well. Buyers looking, it ties in, same idea with the telelisting and circle prospecting. You could have someone who is a very active buyer that's looking in the community, or maybe just someone that theoretically would move, and you're still able to leverage that. We also do have all those scripts available, and there's no charge. So I'll just shoot them over to you if you want at the end, because any one of those are awesome. You can start essentially right after this webinar. Don't start in the middle. Right afterwards, and you can get started and start calling them. There's no barriers to getting into that. Now, another option here over on the left side, the online leads, that's what we have moved into, and that's exclusively what I'm doing at this point, just from a sheer volume. The pros is that, you know, these people have raised their hand and said that they're interested in properties. So it does help, you know, focus in on who actually is looking. It allows you to monitor their activity. It is easier in that sense. But they all really do work out the same, which we'll talk a little bit quickly about those numbers as well. Now, where you get super juicy as far as return on your time investment is if you have a database that you're working. And so if you're a new agent, maybe you don't have one, you could go obviously into your sphere. If you're on a team, like reach out, find out like, hey, are there old leads that are in our database from past events, open houses, anything like that, that I can start cleaning up and calling, and I'll just take a referral from you. Or if you want to be active and work them, then maybe offer back a referral to them for these leads that are just sitting there doing nothing. Now, if you're not on a team, reach out to a team or reach out to another agent who has been in business for a while. Most of us have done that, where you've created it and they're so busy servicing what's right in front of them that they might not have an opportunity to go back to people. But, you know, if everyone moves on average every 7 years, and you have an agent who's been in business for 20 years, there's a lot of information there available that they might not be doing. And it would be just like free money for them if that information, if they're not calling them. So get creative with finding who you can be calling. There's so many options right there. And I guess reach out if you have questions about where to find it or other ways, ideas and stuff like that. So once we've decided who we're going to call, it takes us into these next steps. So I cover this more in other courses, and I don't want to bore people if you've been on it twice. I do just have to cover the basics. So this is your numbers on people that you have never talked to before. This isn't the numbers on, you know, a database or a sphere that you're following up with. And it's just 1 in every 10 people on average are going to pick up the phone. And that's where my prospecting on the go, which I'll get to, is really about, because 90% of the time we have nothing to do. So 1 in 10 people are going to answer. It's about 25 conversations that you have in order to get out and get an appointment. So again, these are really high numbers, which is why we just want to be filling our time really great in the meantime. Once we get those appointments booked, 1 in 5 of them are going to turn into a deal, you know, within 60 to 90 days. A couple more of that 5 are going to take maybe even a year, 2 years, and then a couple will just never work out. And that's okay. It's just odds, and those are totally normal. So 1 in 5, it takes us down to about 1,250 dials in order to get a deal. And those numbers are dramatically different from what we saw maybe 2-3 years ago. And that's okay. It's still amazing. And the number works out to $450 an hour as a real estate agent to prospect, if you're in the $800,000-ish range as an average price. So epic money. And I'm going to make this hour so much more fun for you. Plus, we're making lots of money doing it. So if you want to break down on that math, let me know. That's how it works out. Just trust me. Okay. So why we're doing multitasking, and I want to clarify that I do realize multitasking can be less efficient. You know, we get busy, we kind of do things, and maybe it's not as awesome as it would be if we were giving our 100% undivided attention. But the benefits after years of experience of being 3 or 4 years where I just sat at a desk and prospected all day to the last 2 to 3 years where I've kind of taken it on the go. It's just a whole other world that you get to live in, and it's super amazing. That's why I'm trying to tell you about it. So what it mainly does is frees up our time to, instead of sitting at your desk for, even if it's 2 hours, if you're just, just going to do, not just 2 hours is great. If you're going to do 2 hours as a real estate agent and still be out and doing showings, 2 hours is great. If I told you though, instead of sitting on those 2 hours, moved and did your laundry or went out for a walk and got fresh air, it's the quality of life that you're getting afterwards, so that when you get home and you've worked all day, you're not looking at 2 loads of laundry that need to get washed and folded, or dinner that needs to get prepped, or any of those things. It just gives you so much more. Like when my kids show up, it's like everything off, and here I am. You get my undivided attention, probably for 30 minutes, and then they're bored of me. I get to be there for those 30 minutes instead of running around trying to do all those other things. From a financial aspect, you're going to make so many more calls when we free it up and it's not super boring. And again, it's that $450 an hour. So even if you just did 5 hours a week, if that's $2,000 a week, you're looking at $100,000 at the end of the year. And I promise you this works out, because I can tell you from all the dials that I've done that it does. It's a whole new life. That's lots of fun money for traveling. Family time, like I said, just you're not bogged down doing tasks that you can do while you're dialing when you're with your family. It makes it more fun. You can also be more fun because you can buy more ice cream because you just made an extra 100 grand a year. And success, if you're one of those check off the box people like me, you feel all warm and fuzzy because you got all these things done and you worked all day. And just kind of how you're gauging your success. For me, it's that I get to do everything that I want to do, make the money that I wanted to make, and show up and still be who I wanted to be. So here we go. Next slide. Talking really fast. So housekeeping. The phone calls that I'm saying that we're multitasking on, these are those strangers. And that's where the statistic is that 10% are answering. That's the 1 in 10. These aren't the people that are our follow-up calls who we've been nurturing for years. You don't want to be out in the middle of a forest and not have any notes or anything. So these are strangers, and it's a script. We know the script: just listed, just sold, online leads, whatever it is, you have it internalized. So it doesn't matter when they answer or who answers. I'm saying the exact same thing, and that's where it's okay to be out in the middle of nowhere, because I don't need to reference anything. We're stopping when they do start talking. So if and when they answer, everything else stops. You stop folding your laundry or prepping your food, or stop walking on the trails, so that you can give them that undivided attention when they show up. So that's fair. That's sort of those caveats. And people are like, oh, aren't you like huffing and puffing? I mean, I'm not running, so I'm not. And while they're talking, I'm not like still huffing along on a trail. I'm going to stop and give them my undivided attention. It's just the 90% of the time when they don't need my attention that I'm doing what I want to do. And then always safety first. I'll go through some basic things if you're like hitting trails is what you're interested in. Not necessarily just for girls, but you don't want to be there in the middle of nowhere, not paying attention to where you are, having pods in your ears, and you're not hearing anything that's kind of going on around you. So we'll go through those too. Okay, these are fun for little visuals. Outdoor activities that you can be doing. It's common sense. Like don't be cutting the grass while you're doing your prospect. You're looking for more mild or quiet activities. And enjoying the fresh air. We only have a few good months. I do this in the winter though too, on those nice days. But just enjoying it so that you don't feel so cagey being trapped inside. Inside things. So okay, I have worked out, and I do sometimes too, just I'm not hitting any personal bests. Administrative work, always these, again, little asterisks. These are not thought-provoking activities. It's setting up searches for people in real estate or their property searches. Organizing a day timer, creating action plans. I like to like type out responses that are maybe for another time, all that type of stuff, bookkeeping. I should really do more bookkeeping, then I wouldn't be in this crunch. Laundry, washing, folding, ironing, all that type of stuff is amazing. Folding socks, another thing I could do more of. Just basic housework, getting yourself organized, all those papers, piles of junk, like all those things they're perfect to be doing while you're prospecting. Okay, so here's the tips. Here is what we're here for. I think I should slow down because I've blown through this. Start getting questions ready to kill some more time. Okay, so a dialer. We use the Mojo dialer forever. That is the name of my dog. If you're not looking to spend the money right away, totally understandable. You can upload or download your lists into Excel. And when you do it on your cell phone and you click view, it will turn all the phone numbers into hyperlinks. So then when you're on your cell phone and you've clicked it into view, you just like click on the button essentially, and then it dials the phone number. So that makes prospecting on the go a lot easier. You're not trying to type out a phone number. Also, then if you have it in an Excel, that's a great place to add any notes for while you're dialing. If you use like Mojo or a dialing software, it'll have a notes place. Sometimes I find finicking around with it depending on where I am. I'm better just to text myself if I have a conversation, or you can keep like handy little notepads with you, which is a perfect segue into the gear. So, I mean, if you're going like into the mountains for 8 hours or something, you would maybe do it a little different. There's these little, doesn't have to be Lululemon packs. This is like, it was so inexpensive, $20 or something. And it has like this little front pouch. Oh, don't have your phone charged in. It has a little front pouch. And what's awesome is that it holds the phone so your arm doesn't get tired, or your one arm. And then you just kind of are able to like glance at it quickly and then hit end, or if you were in Excel, click to the next one. And then like a pocket just to kind of keep everything with it. And I know it might seem like kind of silly. It's just a matter of, I just want it to be so easy for you, because I think you're like really missing out if you're not doing this. So having that hands-free keeps it there, and it's super easy and organized. And then you can keep all your other basic stuff inside of it. They have these battery backpacks, which is also great, because depending just on how old your phone is, the battery life. So you can reboot it, or if you use pods. So those are super important. So nothing gets in your way. I don't want anything to get into your way. As far as headsets, this one's good for like home. I don't think I would like want to walk outside with it for very long. But I just feel like this is what I wanted to do when I grew up, when I was a kid, was get to wear a headset that I could talk into. It makes me feel pretty important. So those ones are really great. But the pods are super easy and they work great. And also you can beep them if and when you lose them. They seem to be pretty machine washable. They've gone through a few times. The irony is, if you lose the actual pods, which I have, the case is trying to beep it, but the battery is dead. So there's a pods floating around here somewhere, because I would say having a backup pod is lots of fun too. So then you can, one's charging and the other one's in your ear. Those are for hardcore days. So those are great. Battery backup, headsets, hydration. That's just like basic health, guys. Treat your body well. This is how we get through life. Treat your body well. Make sure you're hydrating, especially on hot days if you're outside, exercising all day, making these calls. A pup or a pal. So this kind of goes down to safety. If you're going out and there's some really great long trails, and if you go out all day, but you don't want to have, if you're having your pods in both ears or those big headsets, I have those big Beats too. You're not aware of what's going on. There's like cougars on the go and bad guys. So having a friend who goes, we do those on a team. We'll have like hike and dial days together, which is just a fun way to go out for a few hours and make calls and get exercise. So that's a great setup. So find someone who's willing to do it. if you're anywhere near the Kawarthas, I will do a trail walk with you. So I could be your pal, or my dog. I feel pretty good that no one is gonna jump up at me with a big 75-pound mutt. So you could take my dog too if I can't make it. So those are really good options, but find a friend. It's nice having an accountability partner anyways. And it's a good safety feature. So reception, obviously, if you're in your house and you're doing those things, I keep pushing trails and walks, but that's just me. Boating too is a fun one, but you can't be continuously boating while you do it, but I have many times just boat out into the middle of the lake and hang out. It's finding the right reception areas. So you test them out a little bit. There are lots of trails that are great, some that aren't. Even on my street, if I go left, I get like 15 houses down, and then I know that there's like 4 or 5 houses in a row where I won't get any reception. So, good time to make a social media video or listen to a podcast or something else. So knowing where the reception is the best way to navigate it ahead of time. Because again, I just want you to set up so it's successful and it's so easy and you can enjoy our short summer here. And then also, I guess part of that too is like, you know, if it's a windy day, that's not a great day for prospecting outside. If it's rainy, well, I mean, if it's not too rainy, it's fine. Being mindful of your surroundings, like Tuesday, everyone seems to be getting their grass cut today, so that's not a good one to do it around. So just paying attention. You don't want to annoy the people when they answer because we're working so hard to get them to answer. So don't just kind of be aware of what's going on around you. The script as a parent, I don't know what else to put. That's again, we're only calling people that we have never talked to while we're doing these multitasking. So I'm still sitting down at a desk probably 2 or 3 maybe hours a day. Those are for all my nurture follow-ups because I want a computer in front of me where I can pull up all my old notes to talk to them. Did their grandkids graduate, things like that. So there are a time where you're not going to be out doing this, but when we're calling strangers and only 10% are going to answer, we're saying the exact same thing every time, and that's part of that script, knowing it and then memorizing it so you don't screw it up if they answer. And then same, just know your location. It kind of goes in with that reception, but you also just don't want to end up in the middle of a trail somewhere and not know where you are because you got caught up on dialing. I have done that. And I have ended up like way on the other side of Peterborough and being like, oh, mother, right? And you don't want to, you could, I mean, it wasn't the end of the world. But yeah, just kind of know where you're going, have a general understanding of where you are.
And what is your script, Courtney? Someone is asking.
Oh, well, just depending on which one, your script, I guess it depending. So if it's an online lead, then for me, it's, you were online looking at some properties. Were you thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months or just browsing? They always say browsing. That's just like their first form of no. It's like some way of rejecting you, which is totally fine because then that's perfect. That's exactly what that site is for. Was there anything specific that prompted you to start browsing? Which has kind of painted them into this corner that allows so much truth serum to come out. And then that's where it's no, well, we're downsizing down the road, retiring in a couple of years, kids are going to school, wanted to get a cottage. All of that always comes out because you've given them that easy no, which they think is the no, is the just looking. So that never changes. If it's a lead that registered 3 minutes ago, honestly, or 3 years ago, I'm still calling those people and I'm saying the exact same thing. If we've never had a conversation, or maybe we had a conversation, but I haven't been able to reach them. I've tried calling 5 or 6 times and emailing and texting, and I've had no response. I just treat them like they're new. I put them back into my attempt status and I treat them like they're new and they're going to get the same script from me. So that's changing. And then just listed, just sold. Maybe we had you had a neighbor's house come up at 123 Main Street. Do you have any friends or family that might be thinking about moving into the area? And then they'll say no, maybe they'll say yes. Okay, perfect. A lot of buyers might want to get this house and not choose it for some reason. Obviously, they love this neighborhood. So if they were be interested in your house, would you consider selling? So just kind of working that, or paraphrasing in so many ways, depending if it's sold already or just got up. Once you've decided on your script, though, you're memorizing it and you're using the same thing every time. You don't want to vary. There is this really great inside sales coach that I follow, and he's so big on mirror and matching, which we do, and we use it a lot. More, gauging on their speed, their personalities, things like that. But he starts right from the beginning. So if they're like, hello, then he'll say hello. They're like, howdy, then he says howdy, which is fun. And I understand that concept. I'm a little more simple. I don't want to have to worry right at the beginning about what they say and then changing my script. I don't want any hesitation. It's the same thing every single time. So okay, travel tips. So here's the big fun one in the wintertime. Because I've already assured you that if and when you are consistent with your prospecting and you're in an $800,000 average price point, this turns into $450 an hour for every hour that you prospect. So I have now been able to justify so many vacations in my head because I commit to making my phone calls. I do cap it out at that like 2 to 4 hours a day because you're still on vacation. And if your friends or family are with you, you don't want to spend the whole time away making phone calls. However, if I do 2 hours a day and we're there for 3 days and it works out to about that'd be $2,700, that usually does a pretty good chunk towards paying for the vacation. So reaching out to your phone provider ahead of time, they usually have a package that's $10 to $20 that allows you to make your phone. This works in Mexico. We've done Mexico. We did Portland, Vegas. I'm trying to think of the West Coast one. So it all works out to about $10 to $20 an hour. Allows you to use your phone and your data like you are at home. So you don't have to worry about that because you don't want to feel anxious that you're spending too much money. The other option would be doing like a voice over IP where you could connect to a Wi-Fi and then call that way so you don't have to worry about your minutes. That would be on a laptop though. So I'm trying to remember the name. Cannon Beach in Portland, Oregon was amazing. And I just got to like hang out there for an hour and a half and make calls. Way more fun. Same with Mexico. So time block though. So the best times statistically are between 8 o'clock in the morning and 10 o'clock in the morning and 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. as far as answer rate goes. And the desk days are Wednesday and Thursday. And I put that asterisk there because listen, if those times don't work for you, don't just not prospect. I prospect all day, 5 or 6 days a week, and all the time. So it doesn't matter. However, if I'm away on vacation, I definitely want to maximize what times I'm calling. So I'm probably not going to do like a 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock dial. And then this is where it's super fun. If you're on the West Coast, you wake up at 5:30 in the morning, you get all your calls done. And then before everybody else that you're away on vacation gets up, and then it's like, oh man, I got like 2 hours of dials, my workout, and everybody's just getting out of bed now. So that's a fun way to feel warm and fuzzy about your activities. And then just prioritizing your list. So this is where you're going to call your newest leads if you're working online leads. Also, if you're working online leads, whoever has been most active on your website that you haven't been able to reach. Or if like a new hot listing just came up and you're calling around just listed, just sold, or sold for like a juicy amount of money, those ones, like make them the hot list, make the most of your time when you're doing it. Follow-up leads, I'll call them when I'm there if there's someone that's not a long-term nurture. If it's a long-term, I'll, when you're going away. So I'm always bookending it. So I'll have a heavy day right before and a heavy day when I get back. Those will be my follow-ups. But if it's someone that's thinking about buying in the next couple months, then I'm staying on top of them while I'm away. And then you're just capping it, like protect yourself so you still have a little bit of fun and then pay for your trips. This is so great. Not so much in the summer because it's okay here in the summer. In the winter though, this is what we need to do in the winter. Go somewhere hot and tropical. Okay, so I'll touch on this super quickly. I said I would keep this at half an hour. Okay, so if this is something you are interested in doing on a more full-time basis, maybe it's even just for the summer while the kids are off, or if you have a cottage and you don't want to be running around on all these evenings and weekends, you actually want to take in some time and enjoy it. I can help you out with this, setting it up. It's finding a team or an agent or a brokerage that you like and trust, that you could partner up with and offer to do this. You want people who are good at closing, because this is your time and you don't want to waste your time giving it to people that aren't going to respect your leads. And someone who like hot and hungry at that, like 24/7, where is this appointment? I'm going to do it. That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for someone who's part-time or casual. Because again, this is you and you're going to give it to them and you're going to take a fraction of the money. So we want to make sure that all the fractions add up and make it worthwhile, and then set up some sort of agreement ahead of time. There are some that want 30%. I think 25% is tons, even 15 or 20 if they're going to give you the list themselves. Like if they have a database that you're going to work, so this is no cost to you. You can do this. Like this is actually a very great feasible way to make a living and not have to run around and do showings and stuff like that. If you're running around doing showings, that is so great. All the power to you. I just don't have that bandwidth. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, let me know. I can help you however I can, because I do think it's a super cool opportunity. It allows those agents that are hungry and want to be on the road doing all those things, it allows them to focus and do on what they're really great at. And then you just provide it to them and they're happy because they also want to be on the road doing those things and they don't want to be making the calls. So it allows everybody to do what they're awesome at. But just be super mindful. Don't just give it to a friend or someone else until they've proven themselves, or allow them at the beginning, but make sure you're pivoting so you're mindful of, again, your time and efforts. Just some quick little stats here for you. So when you're dialing, to kind of gauge how things are going, you want to have at least 6 or 7 conversations each hour. That would be a very good active hour of calls. 30% of your day is going to be spent once you have built up a good enough size database. About 30% of your time for dialing will be spent on follow-up calls. So those are the ones where, unfortunately, we have to sit down and think and focus on who we're talking to. The sad part about this follow-up is that it says stat was 43% of agents are going to give up after the first call. That means they're going to call, they're going to have this first great conversation, and then they're going to forget about them. So following up, that's really where the money is. Yes, we get some where you talk to them one time and you book them and then they go out and they buy a property, and that's so much fun. But more than half of the business is people that you have been nurturing, some for 30 days, some are like literally 3-4 years of nurturing, and that's okay. That mathematically still works out and it's still great, and we get to help people and build our business and help them by representing them well. But it's in that follow-up, so don't just leave them. And here's a really tiny number. The success rate of working these calls, like cold calls, is 1 to 3%. And you're probably thinking, oh, why would I bother? Just make 100 calls. Just make that 100 calls so you can find that 1%. It's just volume, and I'm showing you these ways that you can make dialing not just sitting there and doing it, but working harder and having fun and doing things that make life a lot better in the long run. And it's just because it is not harder, requires more volume in order to find success, but that success is there and it's scalable. There's no barriers to getting involved in it, and it's super possible, and it literally will change your life if and when you get started with doing it.
I was gonna say too, Courtney,
Yeah.
if you made a comparison for you working as a realtor, right, prior to actually dialing, so how much GCI would you have made a year previous to that?
Yeah, like I was like a $60,000 to $80,000 a year real estate agent. Yeah.
Okay. So you've gone from 60 to 80 to even last year in a down market, and you actually increased year over year, right?
Yes.
You were over $300,000 gross commission income was your take home last year in a down market,
Yes.
right? So I think that importance of people understanding, like, you are actually making more money doing this than
Yes.
you would be as a realtor going out and kind of pounding the pavement like you were doing before, right? Which I think is
100%.
so fascinating. And
Yeah.
I mean, I highly recommend, obviously Courtney trains everyone on our team with dialing. We do have a live dial too that everyone's welcome to jump into. That's Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 10:30. It's on Zoom. But I think to reach out to Courtney and, you know, have a meeting and figure out how can you set up so that you're going to have this high level of success, also having more balance in your life, especially for the moms and dads out there that want to be more present for your kids. This is such a unique opportunity. There is no one else like Courtney out there doing what Courtney is doing. I honestly believe she's probably the most successful inside sales, outbound sales, you know, person probably in North America statistically. So this is something that you can learn from. And I just want to say thank you for doing this training today. It was amazing, Courtney.
Oh gosh, thank you. No, that's amazing. And that actually concludes it. So I wasn't sure if anyone had any questions. You can find on Instagram, I'll post tips and tricks or shoot me over a message. I'm happy to help however I can. And I don't know, like set some goals, figure it out. I involve my kids a lot on these decisions. It's fun and then sometimes not once they've figured out, you know, if I'm like, oh, you make $5 every time you make a phone call, and then they decide they want something, they're like, oh, well, we'll just wait while you make phone calls. But it's also fun because it allows them to like, you know, have respect for what you're doing and like why it's so important that you know, you're doing what you're doing when you do and sacrifices everyone's making. So get everyone involved and figure out what works for you and let me know if you have any questions. I think that's it, unless there was any questions.
So good. I'm just checking the chat here. I'm not seeing anything. So folks, if you have any questions, you can pop them in the chat box and then we can read them off to Courtney.
I think we're good then.
Okay, perfect. Oh, hold on. Melissa is asking, can you share your follow-up method?
Well, I guess it depends. So once I've talked to somebody, or if it's a new lead that registers and I call them the first time and they don't answer, then they're going to get 2 to 3 phone calls every day for the next 7 days. And then 1 to 2 phone calls for days 8 to 15, and then about 1 phone call for days 15 to 30, and then just kind of based on activity or availability. They're also getting a series of text messages and emails. If it's like a follow-up as far as they've answered, that would really depend on timeline. But I guess the big ones is like as soon as I get off the phone for them, I'm setting myself a reminder to email them that night because I don't do nothing thought-provoking during the day while dialing. That night I'll send them out an email. Hey, thanks so much for your time on the phone today. You know, I set up your property search. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to follow up to that a few days later, making sure that text message, hey, want to make sure you're getting my emails okay. And then it's really just depending on their timeline when they're getting the next phone call, text, or email from me. But my theory is not that like if they say 6 months, you call in 3, like this whole 50% is the answer. I wouldn't think you should have a quarter go by that you don't talk to somebody on the phone. For sure not 6 months. And it just really depends on what their timeline is though.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Just must have answered everything. Well, I guess
I
just
was
get
gonna
out and
say,
get prospecting.
So
yeah.
bang on.
Have a really great day. Thanks, everybody.